Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Bonjour, hello, winner Ganya.
Hello, welcome.
Yeah. I don't know if Matt will get to it, but hopefully you can hear the intro song with him having a deep.
Should I keep it in?
Yeah, keep it in. A deep, anxiety-filled sigh. He's got a lot going on right now.
I do. I started watching Space Jam.
Great.
I took a break after 30 minutes, and from what I can tell, a lot of surprises so far. Didn't know that it was a Michael Jordan baseball doc, essentially about his career there. And the one thing I'm disappointed about so far is, you always talk about who's the Monstars and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I thought I was going to get to see like a mutant Charles Barkley in this movie and not just have his essence pulled out of him and put into a cartoon.
Yeah, well, it's a cartoon.
Hoping like he'd look like Zangief or something and from Street Fighter.
Well, you can take your hopes.
Maybe that's going to happen.
Put them in your pocket.
I'm only 30 in.
Your homework's finishing the film.
Yeah.
Okay? Your homework is finishing the film.
Fine.
That's all.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks
Basketball Podcast.
I hate that Matt does that.
I thought you were into it
I
for a
got
while.
to a point where I liked it, and now
you're
actually
back to hating it?
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. But what's not annoying is the Raptors demolishing Philly in Game 5. Massive win. I heard it was our biggest win in franchise history.
Yeah.
I thought maybe the Orlando win was bigger, but I'm just gonna ride that happy vibe.
Why not?
We got 2 new guests. I say we just bring them right on.
Yeah.
Sorry. Before we do
that,
where can people find us, Matt?
You can go to dunkspodcast.com. We have all our links there for iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify. You can listen right on our website too if you're old school like that. And let's not forget, Freddie, we are on YouTube.
That's right.
Our last episode got 1 view. That's okay.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's what we're trying to get done here.
We're stuck on 12 subscribers.
Yeah.
So
subscribers?
As you can see, we got up our YouTube game. I don't even know how to say the lingo.
Fair enough. If you're listening out there, be the 13th subscriber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not an unlucky number.
Altogether.
Matt Sundin. Okay.
Yeah. And also just before we start, remind everyone that this is your last podcast as an unwed man.
That's right.
And we're going to be taking a little break while Freddie does that.
Yes. So we should be back on, I think, the 23rd or the 24th.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's mid conference finals madness.
Yeah. I'll try and do some social media artwork again.
Oh, please,
people seem to really love that.
Yeah. keep up your own stuff.
Okay,
you know
cool.
What I mean? Okay,
Let's bring them on. Let's bring on the guests now.
Shall we?
Yeah.
You seem pretty amped.
I'm pretty jacked.
Okay. Matt's, I think, had 1 sip of 1 coffee.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Okay, he's hilarious. He does so many funny shows around the city. He's an extremely nice guy. He's also a really feisty basketball player.
Oh, wow.
And not in like a bad way. Like he just makes you work, and it's pretty hard to play against. If you know him, you love him. If you don't, you'll still love him. Give it up for Christian Smith. This is your song. You can do whatever you want with it, man.
Wait, it's going to drop still.
Oh, pardon me.
Yeah. I feel like I'm doing the robot as I enter the room.
Yeah. How you doing, man? Thanks for doing the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. I cannot wait to talk raps.
Does that song do you feel like it encompasses who you are?
Oh my God. I never even thought I had that in me, to be honest. I love how robotic. What was that?
It's called Exit the Premises. I like how there's 2 drops in it and it just keeps getting better.
Nice.
I heard there's actually 75 different drops in that song.
It
just keeps dropping.
Yeah. Okay, let's bring on guest number 2. It's her first time doing the podcast. We know each other through Maniac Raptors online world. She's the best realtor in the city. I know that for a fact. She's a hardcore Raptors fan. I think she lives pretty close to the place where there's the giant Kawhi painting.
Yep.
Which is incredible. Give it up at home for Paulina Vu.
Thanks, Freddie.
Oh, this one had a lot more pick me up and go, you know?
Are these by the same artist?
Essentially, yeah.
Which is just a computer algorithm, or
Yeah, no.
Did you make these songs, Matt?
No, there's a great database online. This guy's name is Kevin MacLeod, and I've probably, we've had so many guests on here. I feel like there's like 150 different theme songs, and I keep track of them. So you guys come back, you get your song played
Oh,
again.
sweet.
yeah.
Feels like we should have dropped some lyrics over both of the tracks we were brought up.
Honestly,
you go.
next time,
Yeah.
think about the track.
I'll bring some
I
lyrics.
guess you can rap over it.
Yeah, I'll rap over it, and I'll make some like cute little raps for each of you. It'll be like that's
Yeah.
an individual. You
Make
know?
me a cute rap.
Yeah,
Freddie.
yeah. It'll be worth it. Paulina, thanks for coming and doing the show. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. I'm excited, but also nervous at the same time. And I'm in a room full of comedians, and I'm not very funny. So
Yeah, but you know what's up with like the real estate sitch in Toronto. So like I'm pretty sure you have the edge on all of us.
Yeah, you're a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And you don't know if we're funny at all. We could be just nuts.
Yeah. How you doing? Are you feeling pretty good about that win or what?
yeah, I'm feeling great. I was a little nervous that they were going to lose last night because how they do in the playoffs correlates with how I am.
Yeah.
My mood. So I'm really glad that it was a blowout win too.
Yeah. And I feel like if they lost, this would have been a very, very sad podcast.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have been like a rallying cry podcast. But okay, I got some Raptors questions for y'all. But before that, in keeping with my weird Hunger Games segment that nobody asked for, I'm gonna sound off some stats for you. This is Kyle Lowry's quest to be the all-time assist leader in the playoffs. So when we started, Kyle Lowry had 335 assists at 110th all-time. He now has 408 assists in the playoffs. So, Matt, are you ready?
I'm ready. Cannon's loaded.
Okay, cannon's loaded.
Ready to go.
All right, since last pod, Kyle has passed Hal Greer, John Starks, Anthony Hardaway, Casey Jones,
From Ninja Turtles?
don't know, George McGinnis, and Roger Brown. So Kyle now sits at 75th all time, and he's coming for Al Horford. Give it up for Kyle Lowry.
Oh, give it up.
Yeah, sorry, I guess
Congrats.
I forced you all to clap.
No. Wow. Yeah. There it is.
It's that Jeb Bush moment. Please clap.
Al Horford, eh?
Al Horford. So, buddy,
Yeah.
Lowry's coming for you.
He's
Yeah.
gonna be done
Get
soon.
ready, Al.
Okay, Christian, let's get started on some real Raptors
Let's
questions.
get down to the dirty.
We got to dig in because that was a very amazing game. So, I mean, we had balanced scoring, scorching defense. There was blood, some massive dunks. Is there a standout moment for you in that game?
So I don't know if you had a pod after game 4.
No, our last pod would have been after game 2.
After game 2, because like it feels as though Kawhi is such a cooler at times. Same with Mark. So like the moment in game 4 when we won, when Kawhi hit that step back 3 over 2 defenders.
Yeah,
to
Embiid and Simmons.
It was wild. So I'm like, my breath was taken away. It was different in this game because there was no like, the game wasn't as close except for in the first half.
Right.
But that dunk at the end of the second quarter with the passing the double screen, it was like a stamp. It's like I'm
very
done
thunderous.
It was thunder. He's like, I'm done with this series. I'm done with this nonsense. Come on, sick Embiid.
Yeah.
Let's see this and get around your infection with this dunk. And that to me was like a statement.
Yeah, and even like a small part of that play was like Lowry running and just like putting his full body on Embiid for the screen.
It was a great screen, and I mean, kudos to freaking Kyle for playing so huge.
Kyle was like a laser beam last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you thinking, Paulina? Was there a standout moment? Was it that moment? It can also be that moment.
It was that moment. I also enjoyed Kyle's 3 to open the game because I knew then that he was going to start going.
And he used that space too, which was really nice to be like, okay, he's like gonna take his shots when he has them.
But my favorite funny moment of the game was probably, well, it wasn't even in the game. It was when the camera went over to Embiid and he was looking at the stat sheet, looking all sad with the Raptors towel, and they were down 30 points.
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny.
Looking at someone with like 8 minutes to go, who's like their best. I mean, imagine, Philly had that for Kawhi. Where they have this just super dejected picture of Kawhi looking at looking at a game that's over while there's 7.5 minutes to play in the game.
So much time.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're throwing the towel in at 7.5, 8 minutes, like you got smacked up.
Yeah. I think, okay, so the dunks were huge. I love the dunk over Embiid. I think Embiid was a little bit late on the play. So I don't know if it was like a full-on crowning, but just the extension he used there and how authoritative it was. And it seemed like maybe, I was talking to my brother Thomas today, that it maybe Kawhi yelled in Embiid's face. Like, I don't know. It's or maybe it was just like a casual battle cry. But right after he did that, Siakam screamed in Kawhi's like ear, and Kawhi had just like his classic unemotive face. And that got me jacked. Because I'm like, the fact that Kawhi has that much kind of like below the surface massive energy is just like it's this I was saying earlier in the season, it's like we're the Swiss Army knife of last year, except this year, one thing that you can pull out of the Swiss Army knife is like a shotgun. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's Kawhi. It's just like we have so many tools and
that we weren't using. Until yesterday. Really, I feel like in this series. Kawhi the shotgun was the only tool we were really using every game
for sure. What about the? I'm sorry, I'm just going through moments because
that game
was so good. I love the when Siakam shot the three, and it just bounced right out to Danny Green. To me, like taking all those shots really just open. Like, yes, the shots were falling, and that is a massive part of that. But I think taking all the shots was huge. Like, even though I think Siakam shot like 2 for 7 from three on the game, but even him hitting a three changes the game
for sure.
I'm trying to. I mean, I don't think anyone mentioned Serge. How about like Serge's narrative for that game? Like, and I remember saying to my fiance Caitlin that as soon as Serge comes back in the game, he's gonna dunk. And obviously, like, I think that's not like a hot take, but Serge is just that type of guy.
But I will say, like, he has, again, like, I'm all about the narratives throughout the series. Serge was a shell the first 2 games, and like the players were just like not where they needed to be. I guess physically, maybe it was the game plan. Maybe it was like he was just getting bodied too much on Embiid. But like, I remember in game 4 when he got blocked twice by Joel, just like and it was like sad, like he crumbled on his feet, and Joel Anthony Joel Anthony playing Joel Embiid staring him down. I'm like, Serge's like own narrative for me is so fulfilling to watch as a Raptors fan, because he is getting beaten up, but he's coming back. He's hitting his elbow jumpers. I'm like, this is the Serge that we need.
His elbow jumpers were really nice, and I think that everyone was looking for him on those.
Oh yeah, Kyle especially.
I think that's I mean, is there any like major standout moments from the game before we kind of move on? We're basically just moving on to Kawhi's greatness.
Well, I think everyone just forgot how great Serge, he had a really good start to the season. His role kind of changed a bit when there were like a couple trades, and then I guess Jonas was injured. But yeah, he can play. I think a lot of it has to do with his minutes too. Like, if he had more minutes, like he'd probably be producing as much as he did last night.
Totally. And I think that like his just big aggressive presence is huge for the Raptors. And yes, the whole league is going small ball. And everything's about spreading another team out. And I think that's why it makes sense for Serge to be our center. And when Jonas was down, as you said, he was our center and he was doing so good. And then Gasol came, and there was that like figuring out who's the guy. And, you know, I think Gasol's better overall. So he won that matchup. But then that overly relegated Serge.
It really did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, okay, he's our backup center and he's just going to play the minutes.
But like
without
16,
Gasol,
like an Eric Moreland minutes, you know what I mean? Like he's playing 16 minutes a game, and it was like he was also a shell of himself after that, like you said, Paulina. Like, but since going big and getting away from small ball. I've never seen the Raptors do this, by the way.
Yeah.
What they're doing with their lineup right now. I've never seen a Raptors team do this with their bigs. They're playing huge.
Yeah.
And that to me is like...
You mean this year, right? Because we were rocking Serge and Jonas last year.
Right.
Like, that's what's kind of funny to me, too, is it's almost like, in a way, we've gone back to that.
But I'm talking...
But not really. Like, yeah, sorry.
No. I agree with... I 100% agree with you, but I've never seen the team in the playoffs, like, go full big ball. Because most of the time, it was Dwayne Casey's very, like, specific. I got to put typical ones in. I'm not going to put Jonas and Serge in together because I think that's bad defensively, and he wasn't wrong.
Right.
But like now we have Serge and Mark sometimes on the floor together with Pascal and Kawhi and like Kyle.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that huge lineup.
Wow.
I think it's all matchup driven, right? So you're playing against Cleveland last year, and part of the reason we had Ibaka was we were trying to stop that LeBron and Kevin Love pick and roll because it's just a problem for the league. It was lethal, and Philly doesn't really have like a lethal pick and roll. They have lots of big guys and some shooters, so I think they just can't really make us pay for having two bigs in the way that like a Milwaukee, for instance, or a Houston might.
Right.
Okay, let's talk about Kawhi because I feel like, as you said, we hadn't recorded a pod, Matt, since the second game, and Kawhi's just been on a like legendary tear, and I think whether you're a new Raptor fan or an old Raptor fan, it's kind of tough to contextualize what we're seeing, and there's no wrong answers here. But I'll throw it to you first, Paulina. But like, what are you feeling about watching Kawhi's greatness right now? Like, how good is it? What are you comparing it to in your head? Or is it just totally new because it's that good? And
I love it. I remember last summer when the whole trade thing went down, I was very sad. And whenever I saw reminders of DeRozan around the city, it would make me sad.
Oh, me too. I'm a DeRozan lover.
Same.
And I always will be, by the way.
Yeah, but I think everyone can agree that he's a definite upgrade. He's so consistent. He can shoot threes. He can defend. He can do everything that DeMar couldn't do. But I love it, and I hope he stays.
Same.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know it's so hard to keep it from the will he, won't he conversation because I feel like that's one thing that I've been more consumed with than I'd like to admit. It's just because he's like, I don't remember having a player that was this good that every game, the entire like NBA media is talking about his future without us or maybe with us or whatever. But, we lose to Philly and he's like leaving. We beat Philly and it's like the Raptors have a chance to keep him. And, you have the Woj, kind of Woj bomb, Woj like semi bomb or smoke bomb or whatever come out that, the Raptors are doing a pretty good job, and his people like Alex McKechnie are super amazing medical staff guy, and that he likes Pascal and Kyle. So I think one thing I'm consumed with is it's like all eyes on him all the time, and the pressure doesn't seem to sway him. That's what I've never seen as a Raptor fan, because even when it was like peak Vince, Vince would bend and sway with the pressure, and he had some massive performances. Bosch too, you know what I mean? And it just seems like guy after guy who's extremely talented is going at Kawhi, and he's like moving in slow-mo, and it's a drill, and he's like humiliating them. So sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
No, that's
how are you feeling about Kawhi's greatness? Is there is there another player he reminds you of, or
man? I've been like you. I've been pretty absorbed with a lot of the Kawhi narratives that are going on online about where is he going to go. But a lot of those narratives are also relating him to the greats, like how people are saying, "Listen, I watched Jordan be Jordan in the playoffs, and this is what Kawhi's doing. I've watched Kobe be Kobe in the playoffs, and this is what Kawhi." And I'm like, are we witnessing something special and we don't even know it?
Yeah,
I think we might be.
I think so too.
And I don't want to get too excited because like as Toronto fans, like I've been so sad for so long, like with like very like tempered hopes all the time. But I feel like watching him with his quiet confidence and people yelling in his face and him, I'm just like, I feel like he's got us. You know how like some
Yes.
players say, I got us? I'm like,
Yeah.
he doesn't even have to say it. Like, if we lose, we lose. That's fine. But like, I feel like Kawhi is bringing it every day, and like, it won't be because of him.
Yeah.
Even game 4, when he has like 6 turnovers, I'm like, he's going to get it back. Like, he's going to sort it out.
Yeah.
And then no turnovers yesterday. I'm like, get out of here.
Man, I was kind of depositing, like, I'm sure it's not, but I feel like the way that he conducted himself last game was so strategically dominant that, yeah, obviously the stats aren't going to add up to his 39-point game or his 45-point game in game 1, but he had 13 rebounds and 21 points, and he got them in foul trouble like at the very beginning of the game, which I think was a big factor going forward, like into the second quarter when we kind of opened it up. And oh wait, I lost my train of thought. What the hell was I talking about, guys?
Talk about Kawhi and like his specific ability to like,
oh yeah, no, yeah,
distribute
just,
and
So he deferred so well, I thought, last game, and that I don't think he's a bad passer, but I think that the way he's programmed, he's not someone who's seeing all the passes all of the time, and he kind of has to get into a bit of trouble, then find his guy.
totally.
Which again, he scores at such an efficient rate that you can kind of double him and sometimes even triple him, and he can still score.
He'll score, but he'll score more often than making a good pass out of a double team.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a wild talent.
I think that's partially contributed to some of our guys being cold from shooting. And I think the ball was, I think he probably only had 3 assists or something like that last game.
4, I think.
Oh, it was 4 assists. But yeah, he could have had way more. And I think he was the reason that Danny Green got hot. He was the reason that Siakam was hitting threes. Like, he really used himself as a decoy. And the fact to me that he can play both sides of that makes me think that, yeah, it just makes me think crazy thoughts about winning the finals. But yeah, anything else on Kawhi's greatness, Paulina?
I love seeing how he is off the court with the guys because they don't show that as much. But on Open Gym, they have really good content on there. And then seeing him get cookies with Kyle Lowry last week in Philly at 1 a.m. I love that.
After the game we lost.
Yeah. Yeah, after the game, so they must have bonded or like talked about how they could do better after. And I loved seeing How Hungry Are You, of course.
Oh yeah,
I watched that episode.
I watched that
20 times.
yeah, right.
Yeah. He was so funny, I thought.
Yeah,
It was I will say it's the most in depth I've ever seen Kawhi talk. I'm like, this is cool. This is great.
And we've touched on it in the pod before, but I even just love hearing the fact that how he had to change his shot because his hands are so big.
Yeah.
He has to make sure the ball doesn't go too deep into his hands.
Yeah.
Like, sir, that is interesting and cool.
Yeah. I didn't know you had to deal with that.
But sorry, I feel like we jumped on your
no, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just let's finish up the Raps here before we go into game 6, hopefully the closeout game for the Raps. But Nurse is making moves, and obviously coaches are just lightning rods all the time, and especially in the playoffs. And I think sometimes they get overly criticized or underly criticized or whatever. But Nurse was, I think for parts of this series, he's been outcoached. And I think he's kind of made a definitive turn to being the person who's outcoaching the other guy. And maybe it's just a boxing match and it's going to keep going back and forth. But we've had 2 games in a row where I feel like there's been no real counter for Serge and Gasol at the same time. It mucks it up too much for them on defense. Tobias Harris isn't shooting well enough to punish Ibaka. And I think, I don't want to say the series has turned because I don't want to get too excited after like a massive blowout. I think the Philly game is going to be really intense. So let's try and put ourselves in the perspective of like Philly. You got to win this game 6, obviously. You're going to have your home crowd. Meek Mill's going to be there. Dr. J is going to be there. It's going to be an amped up event. You're probably going to ring the Liberty Bell or whatever. And hopefully Embiid will be healthy. So yeah, I'll go to you first, Christian. Do you think there is a counter to the Raptors' big lineups? And if so, what do you think it is? Or what should Philly be trying to do?
This This series, I've noticed a lot of been made or break on missing their open looks.
Right.
So the Raps lost games because they kept missing open looks. So like you said, Norm wasn't hot. Fred wasn't hot. Pat McCaw, who I think has played pretty great in the series.
Yeah, he's been all right, bringing
for
some
his
energy.
7 minutes he ever plays. But I'm like, keep bringing it. But like we keep leaving it up to the big dogs on the Raps to score. And we kept missing and missing. And then finally we started scoring. And that's why we won 2 games. I think we might just see Tobias Harris's shot dropping and JJ Redick getting more looks.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, Joel Embiid is not going to make like this outrageous comeback next game. He's clearly fighting something. So like, if I feel like if you're Nurse, you have to play him the way you have and don't change anything.
Right.
But just be aware that like the shots may start dropping for Philly. I don't know how you defend against the Serge and Marc Gasol lineup, though, because you can't play Greg Monroe more than you're playing him.
Yeah, and they don't really have... It doesn't seem like they have the shooters to punish that lineup, but and the pace going fast is supposed to favor Philly, and it didn't really. Yeah, what are you thinking, Paulina? Is there any like Philly counters where you're like, oh, well, they haven't tried this yet, or maybe it's like a Boban, Monroe, Embiid lineup? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm just thinking about some of the past games. They did have a lot of open looks. They got JJ Redick going. I guess if they focus on their threes, like that might be better for them. Because they have a lot of terrific 3-point shooters on that team. So, yeah.
I know. I mean, it's good that we're not either we're hardcore Raptors fans by not being able to provide like here's a million things that Philly can do, or we're able to enjoy the fact that we might have a better team than the team we're playing against.
Yeah.
My go-to would say, or my go-to thought would be like, hey, if your season's on the line, your franchise is Embiid, why don't you try to do post-ups from the beginning aggressively and get maybe Marc Gasol in foul trouble, see if you can kind of work the game from that angle. I mean... But
Mark defended him great in game 1, like when he was posting him up. But there's... it's tough. I don't know... I don't know if you can rely on Joel Embiid from the way he's been playing. Like, I feel like you might have to feed the rock to Jimmy and give Jimmy a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because he's been the only one, I feel like, for Philly who was like showed up every day and scored some crazy baskets.
And he's also he's making plays on both ends, like Kyle.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He'll make a deflection or he'll draw a foul or watching him and Kyle battle it out is awesome. Because it's like there's so many kind of theatrical moments where they look at each other and they're like, I respect you and I'm mad at you right now.
Yeah. No one's talking about Ben Simmons though, eh?
I know. Yeah. What is the Ben Simmons adjustment? Because that's a good point. Like, I
think in the off season, he really needs to work on his free throws and his 3-point shooting or take any shot outside the paint.
Totally. I think he shot something like 6 or 7 shots last game, and like he needs
most
to have
of them layups too, right? Like
like and maybe it is fast breaking. Maybe they really, really need to design more of a fast breaking offense and try to do that to us. But it's pretty good times for Raptors fans.
There's one thing. Okay. Philly, if you're listening, I'm gonna give you a little tidbit.
Shit.
So Gasol and Ibaka are like only speaking Spanish out there.
Okay.
What you want to do is you want to get a lab called Duolingo. You don't have to do a ton of lessons. Do like 2-3 lessons just so you can pick up on what they're saying a little bit.
I like that.
And that's one way to decipher it. Get the whole team speaking Spanish.
Okay.
All right, Matt, you're giving Philly too much, dude.
You heard it here first. Matty D is a bit of a nut, but he's having fun.
Having a lot of fun.
You're having a good time. No, I think full on learning Spanish in a day is the way to go if you're Philly. That's what they should do going forward.
Cheers.
Cheers. Any last Raptor thoughts before we move on to the NBA?
No.
Christian, you got something?
I had some, but I lost.
This is the pod of deep sighs. We all got it. Paulina, you haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. Besides just mocking Matt, but Christian just dropped a natural deep sigh.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so I could talk about that the makeup of the team for a long time. I guess one last thought: Tobias Harris was like a deadline deal. Right. And like that's going to change. He's another alpha from a team. So that's going to change the makeup of like your group. And like the team Philadelphia beat in Brooklyn, they have better talent. Philadelphia have better talent. Do you think they have better talent than the Raptors? It's up. I don't know. You could say they're probably on par. Which team has had more time to be a team? The Raptors have. So who knows if that makes a difference, because clearly there's some hiccups, especially like you were saying with like Ben Simmons.
Right.
Like, is he leading the fast break? He's not shooting. Maybe he's giving it up too much to people instead of taking it himself. That could be getting in people's heads.
Right.
We just don't know.
No, it's a good point. I mean, like, I think when we got Marc Gasol, we saw some of those issues play out. Like all the good things about Marc Gasol, but a lot of people kind of like trying to almost like or wanting to undo the trade in their head because they're big JV fans, and obviously like I love them. I was a massive JV fan, but and I think with Mark's kind of like overpassing, and even last game he shot 6 shots. He was 4 for 6 and 3 for 5 from 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you're really good. You're allowed to shoot more than 6 shots. And a couple times, like Embiid is like looking at who Gasol's going to pass to, and Gasol's just like also looking at who he's going to pass to, and Embiid's like 6 feet from him. So I'm like, fake the shot then. Like, I understand that Gasol's so slow that he can't really attack a closeout well. So if he gets someone in the air with like a pump fake, he doesn't really have the speed to go by them and do anything. But still, you're 7 feet, and you're not easy to block. So, like, faking a shot is going to be good for you.
Totally.
Okay, so before we move on to NBA stuff, we got to go back to the Hunger Game cannons.
Oh,
you ready?
Okay, load it up.
Okay. This is going to be a good one. So this is Kawhi Leonard's all-time points cannon sound off. So when I don't even know what sentence that just was, but
points cannon
all-time points cannon sound off. Okay. Cheers. All right. So when we started the playoffs, Kawhi had 1,432 points, and he was 137th all-time in playoff points. He now has 1,744 points. Wow. So since last pod, Kawhi has passed Lou Dampier, Sam Cassell, Alex English, Tom Chambers, Terry Cummings, Jimmy Jones, George Mikan, Dave Cohens, Bob McAdoo. Oh, thank you. And JoJo White. That was great. You're the fake out cannon. This was awesome there.
The penultimate.
So yeah, Kawhi now sits at 91st all time in playoff points, and he's coming for a Mr. Mark Aguirre.
Wow.
So we're watching history here, pals. Yeah, let's move to the NBA. Maddie, would you give me that NBA sting? Nice. Thank you. That was for Matt, by the way. If you're listening at home, he just played that and started laughing to himself and only looked at me in the end. So
National Basketball Association.
Okay. And now he's just playing sound effects and staring me down. Okay, Paulina, let's start with you on the Warriors Rockets series. So I don't know how much of it you've been watching or how much you've been able to watch. But it's 2-2. And I'm kind of wondering if this is a real battle. Well, I mean, I guess it is. It's 2-2, but the Clippers got 2 games, right? Is the Warriors looking vulnerable in the playoffs a bit of a mirage, or are we watching like a moment where their dynasty could end to the Rockets?
What does mirage mean?
Is it like is it real? Is it are their struggles worrying you? Like, do you think the Warriors could lose this series or not win the NBA Finals, or is it still kind of a foregone conclusion?
Oh, totally. I think this could be the year that the Warriors aren't in the finals. And then after this year, I think that there's a chance that that team could fall apart. But I personally want the Warriors in the finals if we're going to be playing them, because I think we have a good shot against them. But I don't think it's fake. I think they're actually struggling against the Rockets. Yeah,
me too. I was wondering if we're gonna get some like hardcore like Warriors truthers on the pod, who's like, oh, you know, I mean, I was kind of expecting one of you to be like, give me a break, like the Warriors are so amazing. But Christian, it seems like you're kind of on the same side.
I just think Paulina's right. I think I think Houston has prepared all year for this.
Yeah, they're designed in a lab. After the first game, they released a bunch of like lawyer papers about how they were like falsely how they lost, like they had bad calls against them.
Yes,
in the game last year. So Houston's whole franchise is designed for this series, which I love,
and I love it too. It's so like such a great story for the NBA.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a mirage. I don't think it's like a fake out. I don't think this is the end of the Warriors dynasty. I do think KD comes back and all that stuff next year, but I really think like Houston is scary. And I'm with Paulina. I don't know if I am comfortable as a Raps fan playing Houston in the finals.
Really?
That team, to me right now, like we do not have an answer for someone like a James Harden. We have more of an answer for someone like a Steph Curry. We have more of an answer for someone like KD, albeit KD's going to get his. He can get 40 points a game and still will have defended him better than like.
Yeah, well, Houston, it's kind of the system, right? Like everyone in the system's going to hurt you.
Exactly. And then you have the toughness with PJ. It's...
Sorry, folks, that was my phone. It's my little brother calling. No doubt to talk more Raptors. I'm literally recording a Raptors podcast. But sorry, go on.
No, he has a lot of opinions about Golden State. He just wanted to get
He like he just saw the Golden State bat signal and he's like calling in to diss Draymond.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on.
No, I just think it could be the year they don't make the finals, and I would be so happy if they don't.
Right. So if Golden State gets past Houston. Do either of you think Denver or Portland poses a real threat, or maybe that Houston will be, or Golden State will be so beat up that they'll pose a real threat? Like, you know, it seems like Iguodala has a little bit of a hyperextension. Doesn't seem very serious, but he's an older guy, so I think you don't want him slowing down at all. But yeah, Paulina, do you think that Denver or Portland could make Golden State sweat?
No, I don't think people should sleep on the Nuggets, but I think Golden State's still better than either one of them. But can I just go back to what you said, Christian? You think that KD's going to go back to the Warriors?
I do, yeah.
Why do you think that?
Because why would you? This is This is probably going to be one of the last dynasties ever in the NBA. I feel like history, because parity is crazy. I think you keep it going. You're not gonna like if you go to another team. What's the point? For money, like you have the best team in the league and you have had it for so long. If you're that like
legacy though, you know what I mean?
To make his own like another place.
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the big arguments is that he feels his legacy is not the way he wants it. He feels that he went on to Steph's team. And, you know, he took a lot of heat, right, for joining this already amazing team.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of with you in terms of, like, I think if they win the championship, I would like him to stay there, honestly, because I want to see this team lose.
So do I.
If they lose to Houston, I could kind of care less. And I hope Golden State goes, like, down in flames. I really do. But I think that I've said this a bunch of times on the pod, but if they win and KD leaves and they get to like retire that era as being untouched, that would just bother me so much as a fan.
Right. That's
sorry. I'm not trying to release the dragons here.
No, but man, like I would love to see them lose, but I do think it 300 years from now, if the world is still here, they're going to count his rings. They're not going to be like, oh, and then he left and then didn't win another one. You know what I mean? Imagine going down as like the most winningest team of all time, which they could be at some point.
Yeah. So I think that the Warriors are in trouble. I think that it's a bit different than previous times that they've been in trouble during the Durant era, because when they ran into Houston last year, it was a similar thing where Houston was designed to beat them. They were the best team last year and that sort of thing. But, they got the Chris Paul injury and it was like, whoa, that was close. Anyways, let's just sweep the Cavs. Then after that, it was like, they got Boogie and everyone's like, oh no. And I think ultimately they're better on the court without Boogie, but I still think it made them overall scarier.
Yeah.
And the way that the Clippers came back on them in that has kind of set the tone for people doubting Golden State in a way that they previously hadn't. And I don't know if it was Ben Golliver or who it was, but one thing I've been kind of he said something that I've been waiting for a long time, which is this like the style of the NBA to catch up with Golden State. For people like Lillard to do for people like Lillard doing stuff that Steph does, or defenders trying to stop Clay from hitting threes in the same spot on the court. And I think with Houston, you have a team that's really studied how Golden State gets so many of their fast break threes, so many of their easy buckets, so many of their like kind of continuity offense. And I don't know if Houston will beat them. I think if I had to make a call right now, I'd probably say Golden State in 7. But I think that Houston will have shown again, the rest of the NBA, the playbook about how to slow Golden State down. I think even the Clippers use some of that playbook. Anyways, that's my tangent on that.
I love that.
Okay.
And then we'll see if Denver or Portland can match up any of those teams. I mean, no one has a response for Jokic, so we'll see what happens with that.
That's perfect. So I'll jump right to you, Christian. Is Denver the most underrated team in the NBA? And we're talking playoff teams right now, but if you're like, no, it's Orlando or whatever, that's fine.
Well, I think they've got to be, right? They finished second in the West.
Yeah.
Over every other team. Like, you know what I mean? And they, fourth in the NBA. And still no one assumed they were going to even beat Utah. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
I picked San Antonio to beat them. Right. So I have, that's why I'm kind of bringing this up on the podcast, because I think that it was kind of like a easy idea. It was almost like a kind of like a cutesy pick to be like, oh, Denver. Yeah, they'll have a first rough go around in the playoffs.
Totally. And I thought DeMar was going to smack his way into the second round. I was wrong.
I mean, he showed out. He was all right.
He did, and he's great. But ultimately, that team is not as talented right now as Denver.
Yeah.
So Pop could only do so much, and the team could only do so much. But I think they are underrated, even though everyone knows about the milk white center that can pass, who has some of the best hands in the NBA. It's great. It's so fun to watch the team play, and with dudes like Torrey Craig.
I know.
I don't know who Torrey Craig was before the beginning of this year.
It's also,
I should have, I feel like, but
it's also been fun for me to watch a Canadian be a ball handler and score in big moments deep into the playoffs. I think we all dreamed of that, or I did anyways, when Wiggins was coming up.
Yeah.
It was like, Wiggins can be that guy. Because there's been a lot of good Canadians, but outside of Nash, so many of those Canadians have been not necessarily shot makers. They've been big bruisers, or Tristan Thompson, or Luke Longley way back in the day. Rick Fox, I guess, was a bit of a shot maker. But yeah, Paulina, do you have any?
You mean Jamal Murray?
Yeah, who'd I say?
No, you just a Canadian point guard. So
Sorry, okay. Jamal Murray. I never said his name, but he's been pretty. I think he's had some bad games, obviously, but it seems like he has, the it factor or whatever. So I had to say it like that because I feel like it's a very cliche thing to say.
Yeah, I think they're totally underrated. You guys have Instagram, right?
Yes.
So when you go on Instagram, through all the stories, they'll say who do you have, Nuggets or Blazers, and everyone always chooses the other team, and then Nuggets come out on top. So I feel like it's kind of like how the Raptors were, everyone underestimated us, and look at where we are now.
Yeah, totally. And also as far as having a really talented young core, they're pretty good going forward. I'm even happy seeing a guy like Millsap,
love him,
get some success.
Yeah.
Because he's one of those lifers that you're like, I hope you win one day. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And you're right with Millsap.
Denver, underrated. You heard it here first.
And I don't want them to beat Portland because I love Portland and I love Dame and CJ. And but I think they're going to lose. I think Denver's going to win.
Yeah, it seems like similar to the way the Raptors when they had a pretty commanding Game 5 win. We'll see if Dame can make some more magic in Portland, where it seems like that. Okay, just an aside on Dame here. Is that the most conscious of a meme while it's happening moment we've ever seen? I feel like when Dame hit that shot, one of his first thoughts was, this is going to be a meme. And he like wrote it and did it perfectly. You know, he did the wave and he froze. The way I was just like, man, this guy knows exactly the end product of this. You know what I mean? It's like he's like directing himself in a film.
Yeah.
So it was wild.
We're just so self-aware. We're just so self-aware. He's like, I got this.
Yeah, he was it was very Neo Matrix, but like 2019 Mimi.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start with you on this one, Paulina. But I guess a bit of a teasy question to the Boston fans out there. But they're down 3-1. Is Boston done? And if they are, if they lose in Game 5. What should Danny Ainge do? The only reason I ask this is because Boston is obviously at the center of so many narratives. You know, they talked Hayward into existence. They traded Kyrie. Brad Stevens is the best coach that ever lived. Danny Ainge is the smartest GM that's ever lived. Marcus Smart is the toughest player that's ever lived. And, Baines is the best role player that's ever lived. But I think people legitimately, I said Raptors 1 and Boston 1A, and that's because I thought this Boston team had an immense amount of talent. I'm a huge Horford fan, and I think people thought they were going to win 60 games. They didn't win 50. They swept Indiana, which was like, okay, here we go, Boston. And then the big game, Game 1, obviously against Milwaukee. And it seems like Milwaukee is countered and it's over. But I don't know what's such a meandering question there, but where should Boston's head be at if they lose? Like, should it be like, no, we're still Boston, keep building? Or is it kind of like, let's restructure this?
Well, I think Kyrie's gone if they're out. I think they will lose against Milwaukee. I think there's a chance that they could win another after that first blowout game. But I think Danny Ainge took a gamble giving up Asai Thomas, rebuilding it around Kyrie. I think he needs to find another superstar to replace Kyrie and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, and sorry, were you going to say something, Christian?
I agree.
I'm just going to add to your point, and he might even have that superstar on his team, which is what I think is so interesting about Boston, because what if you were like, okay, you know what? We got to let Kyrie go, but let's design an offense around Tatum. Like this is his second year. And I think this is a guy where it's like, man, let's just focus on keeping Brown and Tatum together. Brown's year 3 or 4.
I think 4.
Yeah. I'll figure that out.
Or no, 3.
He is 3.
Yeah.
But you got Brown and Tatum. Rozier, his contract's going to be coming up.
Well, and Terry Rozier was pissed that Kyrie took all his minutes, and he pissed that Gordon Hayward's taking his minutes. And Terry Rozier's a good ass player, and it's tough. Like,
so are you kind of with Paulina in that it starts with Kyrie?
I think it starts and ends with Kyrie.
Like figuring out what is to be done with him.
Because if he leaves, I don't know where he goes, but I think you're right. He does leave. I think you then have to double down on Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, because those guys are so good and so young. And when Kyrie wasn't in the playoffs, like last season, and Boston beat Milwaukee in the first round, it was wild. I went to a game in Boston to see Boston-Milwaukee. Milwaukee was a shell of themselves. They got eaten alive, but because of Jaylen Brown and because of Jason Tatum and because of Terry Rozier. And I'm like, this is the team. Gordon Hayward's a great role player, and I think he's like finally becoming one of who he is.
Yes.
But like it's tough watching like highlights of the Boston-Milwaukee game and seeing like Kyrie spinning his wheels and being like, I'll guard Giannis. I'll guard.
Yeah.
It's like,
it seems odd to me that after all this time, what they're bringing to the playoffs is an ISO offense with like not super efficient players. It seems to me like there's so much talent there that I get there's probably like a bit of redundancy with the talent, and as far as like Hayward and Tatum and Brown wanting to take the same types of shots, but it's like you probably should have invested some time in getting some kind of easier buckets or designing a better offense. Yeah. But anyways, I hate Boston so much that I'm just gleefully enjoying this. Yeah. Mind you, Milwaukee's a pretty serious threat. We haven't really. It's funny, yeah. Like every time Boston loses, it's about them losing, and it's never about who beats them. I know. And Milwaukee's doing really, really good. Yeah. Giannis, swept Detroit, and then had that first game where it's like, oh man, Horford's got his number, and then won 3 games in a row promptly, and is just quietly dominating. And I think people aren't talking about it as much because they were kind of hoping that it would be Boston. Yeah, you're probably right. And now they're like, oh wow, okay, so we have to deal with the serious prospect of not only Giannis making the conference finals, but Giannis kind of like making his claim as the best player in the world. I'm not saying he is, but I think like that's part of what he's doing right now is making, so's Kawhi, so's Durant. And I think to a lesser extent, so are some other guys, but that's I think that's it for NBA. I'm going to move on to some quickish questions, but any other NBA stuff here? Okay, Maddie, would you give me that quickish question sting? Quickish question! Quickish. He's remixing. Yeah. Quickish. Oh, yeah, Matt. This is big. We're a big time pod. This is great.
Huge.
Okay, so before we move on to quickish questions, one last playoff stat. Cannon. Yeah. One last Hunger Games messy segment. Here we go.
Okay.
So I call this one Marc Gasol's free ones, and it's about him climbing the all-time free throws made list in the playoffs. So last podcast, when we started the playoffs, he had 290 free throws made, and he was 144th all-time, and now he has 300. So slow and steady. He's not really like racking it up, but he's doing some stuff. Okay. So since last pod, Marc Gasol has passed Jermaine O'Neal. And that's it. And right now he's tied with Larry Faust for the 135th all-time in playoff free throws made, and he's coming for George Hill.
Oh.
What? So heads up. If we play Milwaukee, I'll be watching those free throws between George Hill and Marc Gasol really closely.
Good. At least one person will be.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people who listen to this pod to know that I am like really cool. Like I like skateboard around the city and shit, and no worries there. But okay, cool. Let's do some quickish questions. So here's how this works. Matt's already got the music we created.
Turn the lights down too.
Yeah, he's good like that. So I'm going to meander through some questions. Your only job is to answer them as fast as you can. And make sense?
Is this like a contest? Like, are we supposed to beat each other?
No. Okay. So you know what? That's on me for not explaining. I'm going to go one by one.
Okay.
Cheers, Matt. I'm going to go one by one, so I'll be like, do, Paulina. And you just got to answer as quick as you can, even if you can't understand
what I'm saying. It gets harder to explain this game every time we do it.
You're living inside Freddie's head, and it's a complicated place. Okay, here we go. First question is, we want some ideal landing spots for all the big free agents. So I'm going to name the free agent, and you just say where they're going in the summer. You ready? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go around the table for this one. So, Paulina, where is Kyrie going?
Cleveland.
Okay, love it. Christian,
LA.
Where? No. You get a new free agent.
Oh, great!
But that's a bonus answer. Okay, here we go. Where is KD going?
Golden State.
Wow.
Matt, where's Kawhi going?
I want to say Toronto. I really do, but there's...
Okay, Toronto. You heard it from Matt.
Okay.
All right. Paulina, where is Jimmy Butler going?
He's staying.
Okay. Christian, where is Kemba Walker going?
New York.
All right. Matt, where is Chris Middleton going?
I think he likes the dry heat. He's going to Phoenix.
Okay. Paulina, where is Klay Thompson going?
He's staying in San Francisco.
Okay. Christian.
Oakland.
Oh yeah, Oakland. He's moving to San Francisco, but staying same team.
Yeah.
Christian, what about Draymond Green?
Clippers.
Okay, Matt, last one, Tobias Harris.
Tobias Harris, heard he loves parades. See you in New Orleans.
That was cool, dude. Okay, Paulina. Is it about 76er offensive struggles or an increased intensity of Raptor defense? A lot of coverage talks about the former and doesn't mention the latter at all.
It's about Raptors defense.
You're right. I love it. Christian, how dumb was Philly to trade away 5 years worth of future assets for Butler and Tobias?
So dumb. Shamay.
Matt.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing the Raptors need to focus on to close out the series in 6?
They need to keep Embiid sick.
Oh, I like it. Oh, yeah. That's some Kathy Bates stuff.
Mess with his IV bag.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Great. Paulina, what's Joel Embiid's deal? Do you think he's actually sick?
I think he's making excuses.
Ooh, love it.
Ooh, yes.
And if he ever listens to this, he's going to beat us all up. Okay, Christian, of the remaining coaches in the playoffs, how do you rank them?
Out of the remaining 8?
Sure. Or just give me a top 3.
Oh, gosh. Freaking, okay. Mike Malone. So high up. Bud. I gotta say Nick Nurse, just because I gotta say it.
Okay, Matt. Is going big the new going small?
Yes.
Okay. Paulina, you're Ben Simmons. Just experienced an embarrassing loss in Toronto. What are you doing?
Talking to Kendall Jenner.
Fair enough. Talk to your partner. Work it out.
They're dating?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It's a big time couple. Christian, you're Serge Ibaka. Triumphant in a big win. What are you cooking?
Oh, I'm cooking some more freaking cow dick.
Yeah, man.
Because it works, dude.
Cow dick pizza.
Cow dick pizza.
Okay. Matt.
Yeah.
You're Nick Nurse, experiencing a surge of inspiration after vanquishing your enemies. What song do you learn on your guitar?
I think it's More Than Words.
Okay, fair enough. I like it. Okay, Paulina, you're Fred VanVleet. You had your first impact in the series. 1 or 2 inch lifts before you head out to celebrate at Crocodile Rock.
1 or 2 lifts?
1 or 2 inch lifts on your shoes. I think that's what he's saying.
Oh. 3.
3, yeah, okay. It's a big night. And the Croc Rock's closing, you know what I mean? Go celebrate. Okay. Christian, after you beat down a team by 36 points, it's easy to think there are no adjustments to make for the next game. We covered this a bit, but what does the team need to do in the best position to win Game 6? We know Philadelphia is going to make some adjustments on their end. So one thing.
I say continue to get the peripheral players hot. I think you still feed Danny and you still feed Mark and you get either Norm or Fred or McCaw going.
Spread the ball, spread the love.
I think you got to spread the ball.
Okay, Matt. What problems do the Raptors need to solve for the conference finals? Question applies to both Milwaukee or Boston making it to the next round.
I think the main thing they got to do is they just got to keep helping out Kawhi. That's the big thing. We gotta have at least 1 or 2 games like we had last night against the Bucks.
Hell yeah!
And in the finals too.
Woo! Okay, 2 more questions. Paulina, your last question here: is the Gasol Ibaka front court the most Spurs East thing yet?
Spurs East. What do you mean, like,
I
go
think
big?
that's a bit of a joke on me, who was calling us Spurs East last year. So this is me being trolled a little bit. So does this look like anything like the Spurs, I guess is the question.
No.
Okay. And I think that was a successful troll of me. Okay, last question, Christian. Did LeBron leave the East because he knew Kawhi was coming?
No.
Yeah, that's the correct answer, but also funny question.
Yeah, good funny question.
Okay, that's it for the pod.
Whoa.
Yeah, thank you both
it.
so much for doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
this was awesome.
Matt, Freddie.
Yeah, thanks for doing the pod, guys.
Yeah, follow us on all the stuff. We need more subscribers. We need more listeners.
Yeah, reviews on iTunes.
The Patreon page I keep talking about.
Yeah.
Guess what? I brought it up 2 years ago. It's coming. Trust me. And we got a couple toques. We're gonna sell once we order them. We're waiting for July, and that's when we're gonna start selling these toques. You know what I mean?
Wait for the hottest day of the year.
That's
and we'll
right.
get them on the market.
Yeah. Well, we want people to wear toques just to be like, hey, climate change is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sweat during the summer in your head. That's what's up. But seriously, thanks everyone for listening to this podcast so much. I'm gonna go ahead and get married and return. And hopefully the Raptors will be in the conference finals or on their way to the finals maybe. But before I go, Paulina, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem.
Hope the wedding goes well.
Thank you. Do you have anything going on? Anything you want anyone to know about? Yeah. Anything to plug?
No.
Your favorite
same old.
restaurant, whatever.
No.
Same old?
Same old.
Go Raps?
Yeah.
Cool. Christian, I know you're doing shows all the time. This pod is going to come out
Live at 5 today.
live at 5 today.
What a turnaround.
That's great. But yeah, this podcast is going to come out today, which is
It's the 8th.
the 8th.
Yeah.
So the evening of the 8th, do you have any shows on the 9th?
Do I got any shows? If you want to come to see some improv at Bad Dog Theater at Hook Up, it's 9:30 at Bad Dog Theater, Bloor and Ossington this Saturday. And then also, if you want to vote for my web series for a Canadian Comedy Award, you can go online and vote for Soul Decision.
Where can you do that?
CanadianComedyAwards.com, and then you could just, I think you make a tiny account, and then it takes 1 second, and then you vote for Soul Decision for best web series if you want. If you hate us, please vote for us anyway.
Yeah. So go hate vote for for Christian. And you're in Turco, right? Can people catch you?
Oh sure, every Monday night at the Second City.
Bada boom, bada bing. That's not my saying, but it felt right.
Go check out your Rap Battles show on Friday.
That's
too.
right.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Friday?
I'm doing Rap Battles 115.
Yeah.
Holy.
This Friday, my brother Miguel is making a comeback after rupturing his Achilles. We're gonna find a nice little place for him to sit during the show. It's going to be beautiful. Everyone enjoy this weather, enjoy the win, and talk to you in a bit. Thanks so much.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.